ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. How y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, and we are live for my live review of this past weekend's extravaganza, the Super Bowl of wrestling, the place where heroes become legends, where great things happen. We are here for my live review of the past two-night spectacular WrestleMania 37. Took place Saturday, April 10th, 2021, and Sunday, April 11th, 2021, at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida. Whew! Felt good to say something completely different besides the WWE Thunderdome. Unfortunately, it's back to that tonight. But felt good to say something different. It felt really nice, despite a few times some obvious piped in noises. But man, I miss having like an organic audience there. That's not manipulated. That's not being controlled for the most part. But it felt very nice, once again, to have the fans there, to have some organic reactions for some moments that took place on this WrestleMania spectacular. We, of course, are going to talk about this show live, as again, I was unable to do this last night because I had to get up earlier before work for the dentist today. So I will review it now, and I will give Raw a shot. Give the Raw after Mania a shot. See what happens. Go from there. As we are now, of course, also on the road to WrestleMania Backlash. Yes, WrestleMania Backlash will be the next pay-per-view following WrestleMania. I guess there's a theme, because I guess maybe there's some revenge from WrestleMania being happening at Backlash. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But let's talk about the show. What were my overall thoughts on WrestleMania 37? Well, I'll first state the obvious. Night 1 was the superior night. Night 1 was definitely the best night in my opinion. Night 2, stuff I liked. Night 2, though, did not get off to a good start at all whatsoever. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. But overall, besides a rant that I'll be doing when we get to Night 2, I enjoyed this WrestleMania. I thought it was, despite the fact we had some very crappy build, there was a lot of things on this show that ended up being better than I thought. I will give WWE credit that. You know, for a fan that's been saying for a few weeks now he feels burned out, feel like, not even watching any of these weekly shows is worth the time. This was worth it. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I got to spend a lot of time with my friends, got to do some fancy live reactions, all those sorts of things. I had fun. And I thought this WrestleMania was a fun show. And those fans who got to attend WrestleMania 37, I hope you guys had fun as well. WrestleMania 38, though, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, hoping by then we would have a full audience. So yeah, let's talk about the show. Live chat first. Who do we got in the live chat? We've got Mark in the live chat. What's going on, Mark? He says, how are you? I'm not too bad, despite the fact that I got up earlier this morning. I'm very peppy, and I'm stoked to talk about WrestleMania. He even said Night 1 was better as well. That Canadian Destroyer surprised even him. Oh, we'll talk about that Canadian Destroyer. The Canadian Destroyer of the night, of the weekend, was hit by a Grammy-winning artist. Let me guys tell you something. I may bitch about whenever they do celebrity appearances, but the one we got Saturday night, I'm going to shut up about everything I said, how I didn't give a crap about that match. I cared about that match. And that Canadian Destroyer alone was one thing that made me pop. Let me see here. Congratulations to the new SmackDown and Raw Women's Champion as well. And he thought the ending to Night 2 was stupid. Such as Braun is stupid? No, just kidding. Okay, I'll be sitting here to take on that, Mark, because I actually did enjoy what we got for the main event, but if you didn't like it, that's fine. And he's also actually glad Matt Riddle lost. He was annoying. May have been best. It still was kind of random, though. Not the title change I expected to happen, but we'll talk about it. So, I actually do kind of want to see what happens on the Raw after Mania, even though it might disappoint me and it might bring me back to reality, baby. But we'll go through this review, and then we'll go through Raw. And, of course, I'll talk about it most likely not till tomorrow. Tomorrow night also will be the debut of Tuesday Night NXT as well. As we'll probably talk about the show tomorrow night as well. I'm going to try to, get the reviews done, on a smooth pattern this week. And then, like I said, depends on how I am the next couple weeks. Again, I might just, wait till later in the week to review these shows and just, take a breather. Because, trust me, it's been nothing but wrestling. And like I said, I still love wrestling, even though it's been shitty at times lately. But I still want to do some new things on this channel, just for the fun of it. But, we'll get to that, of course, when that happens. But let's talk about WrestleMania 37. Beginning with Night 1. That began with a rain delay. That is right. Apparently on Saturday night, they did have fans evacuate Raymond James Stadium due to some severe thunderstorms. It would settle down, but it did cause a 30 or 40 minute weather delay. I think the show didn't start till 8:35, I think it was. So yeah, we made history there with the first ever rain delay in WrestleMania history, as far as I'm aware of. And the opening match, there was no pre-show matches on this WrestleMania. The opening match was a match I think that was originally supposed to be the main event of Night 1. Now it became the opening match because we had the fans spoke and we had an excellent choice for the main event of Night 1, which gets to that in a little bit. But the opening match for Night 1 was Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. I also do like how whenever the weather delay was going on, they had this segment backstage with Drew McIntyre, how, he has all these thoughts going through his mind, how, he wants to, he can't wait to be out there in front of the fans, how he wanted to be in front of the fans for his big moment he had last year, how he wanted to get that moment tonight. And quite frankly, for a guy that was super back and forth, I wanted that to happen for him too. I also thought Bobby Lashley deserved a big win here. So I was still very torn with this match. But I ended up going with McIntyre for my prediction. I thought that with how they were booking Lashley, split up the Hurt Business, which was still a stupid idea. Stupid completely. I thought they were going to just book Lashley like a typical heel and he was going to lose to McIntyre. Well, if Lashley would have won or lost, this was still a great match. This was excellent. First off, Drew came out to a nice pop. He just really acknowledged the fans there. These guys went to war. I would say it wasn't a classic, but it was definitely a very, very good match. Some very good back and forth, some power on power, some great counters. It was physical. Again, they made this match very unpredictable. It could have gone anyone's way. I was wondering if maybe, because Cedric and Sheldon were banned from ringside, maybe they would still come out to ringside or something, since technically the Hurt Business was banned from ringside, but since they had disowned Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, maybe they thought that would be the way to get them to get ringside, because, they're technically not part of the Hurt Business anymore. That didn't happen. The finish of the match, though, came whenever Drew McIntyre was setting up for the Claymore, but then MVP did some very weird move outside the ring and distracted McIntyre for a split second. So he goes to do a Claymore, but then he completely misses Lashley, just flops right on his ass, and then Lashley locks in the Hurt Lock on Drew McIntyre. He fought out of it once or twice, but at the third time he gets put the Hurt Lock on him, Lashley just wrenched it in on McIntyre's neck, and he got McIntyre to pass out. Lashley wins by submission by getting Drew McIntyre the pass out. And, I felt bad for McIntyre. He didn't get to have his moment in front of the fans he did last year. I was hoping they would have at least given him a standing ovation. At least give McIntyre that typical babyface standing ovation and give him a moment by himself with the fans, because this basically marked the end of a year for McIntyre. Obviously he's moving on to other things now, not going to be in the title picture. I've heard some rumors they may be turning him heel again. We'll see if they do that or not. But he deserves some type of a standing ovation. Again, if there was anyone that got ripped off from a WrestleMania moment from the fans last year, it was definitely Drew McIntyre. But I am going to be honest, though, and say, even though I wanted McIntyre to have his moment, I think giving Bobby Lashley the win here was the right call. Again, Lashley was not meant to be a 7-week transitional champion. He deserves a reign. And he's going to get a reign. How long will it be? I don't know. Could be till SummerSlam. Could be maybe until Rumble. Could be till next year's Mania. I don't know. But I think if anybody probably needed it more, it was Lashley. McIntyre will be fine. To me, they could give him another shot next year for a moment. Depends on what it is. But I'm going to be honest and say here, giving Lashley the win I thought was the right call. I'll be honest and say that. It was good for Lashley, it was best for the company, and Bobby Lashley retains the WWE Championship. Who will we fight next? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That was match 1. Here comes match number 2. The second match of the night was this tag team turmoil between these 5 women's tag teams. It was Lana and Naomi versus the random ass team of Billie Kay and Carmella versus the Riot Squad versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke versus Natalya and Tamina. That's the order how they came out with. This was sloppy. I'm sorry. I just... The winners of this match also would go on to face Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for night 2 for the women's tag titles. This was awful. It was just very crappy booking. Everybody just looked like a bunch of stooges in this match. It was just not that great. We started off with Lana and Naomi taking on Billie Kay and Carmella. Billie Kay and Carmella won that one by having an assisted roll-up victory with, I think Billie Kay or Carmella was holding on to the ropes, pushing up Billie's back as they they eliminated Lana and Naomi. The Riot Squad came out next and they eliminated Carmella and Billie Kay. Then we have Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose come out. First off, wearing matching outfits, would have never recognized either one of them. Mandy Rose slipped and fell on her ass, which I'm sure that hurt, but yeah, there's a wet ramp. And then there's Randy Orton on night 2 being a stooge and, just showing he doesn't give a crap. Well, playing the typical I don't give a crap, character, which I absolutely love when Randy Orton acts like, I don't give a crap, I can do whatever I want. And he's like teasing on the ramp. They got eliminated by the Riot Squad, and the Riot Squad was my team to win. Then they lose to Natalya and Tamina. So, the Night 2 SmackDown Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. Who the hell wanted to see that match? Of all places, at WrestleMania, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. They're all heels! And they're definitely... Well, you got Shayna Baszler, who could be great if you were to stop booking her as Nia Jax's freaking stooge. You had Natalya, who's a well-respected veteran. But then you have Tamina, who literally does not know how to cut a freaking promo, and all she does is either copycat Charlotte Flair or claims, "You didn't pin me, you all pinned me. Nobody beat me, you all beat me." That stupid promo she had on the SmackDown after Mania last year, that was so freaking dumb. And then we've got Nia Jax. Hey! You really think anybody wanted to see that match? And we'll talk about it when we get there, momentarily. But yeah, definitely the worst match of night one was this match. It was not that good. And again, again, who cares about these freaking women's tag titles? I would have rather had the SmackDown tag title match on this show rather than this crap. So yeah, Natalya and Tamina win. Who in God's name again wants to see Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina? Oh dear Lord, that was such awful booking. But definitely, this next match was nowhere close to being awful. Cesaro versus Seth freaking Rollins. Embrace the vision. First off, Seth Rollins got new theme music yet again. I'm not sure why they did that when he already brought back his Burn It Down theme. So they changed it up again. Who knows why? But then there was several people who got big time pops. Cesaro was definitely one who got the big pop. And of course, again, they played that PSA they played that was so anti-Cesaro, and then favorite heavy on Seth Rollins, and it ends with Seth Rollins saying that this has no influence at all by Seth Rollins at all, or something like that. And I just cracked up. I'm just like, so much BS. It was so Seth, but Cesaro got a great pop. This match was about one thing, and that was giving Cesaro his well-deserved WrestleMania moment. Yes, he won the first ever Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. But this was something special. Again, this man has been in WWE for 10 long freaking years. 10 years! And this is the first time he's getting a singles match at WrestleMania with his caliber. And they told that story. Again, when you bring truth into these stories, you get behind them so easily. And this match was exactly what it needed to be. And hats off to Seth Rollins also. Rollins actually pulled out some new maneuvers in this match. He did some kind of like a corkscrew frog splash, a couple other little stuff. He actually pulled out some new things out of his repertoire, which was pretty cool. Including new theme music, like I said. Cesaro, though, boy. First coming out of the bell, with the flying uppercut, just all bringing it to Rollins already. He had hit 9 swings, but of course, the best part of this match was the ending. First off, he swung Seth Rollins 23 times with the Cesaro swing. And not only that, afterwards, he picked up Rollins, put him on his shoulders, and he starts doing like that airplane spin thing that Tyler Bate does. But not only was he holding on to Seth Rollins, he was like spinning him around, letting him go, putting his arms out, moving up and down, basically just completely taking the handcuffs off of Cesaro and letting him to show off just his ability right there. When I saw that, I'm like, that is cool. That is impressive. And I'm like, thank you, WWE, for letting you basically show that Cesaro is a freaking superstar and should be a main eventer. He completely took over the crowd in those last 5 minutes. He killed it. He absolutely killed it with those swings and with that airplane spin. I still just remember just like marking out for him. He's like holding them and his arms down here. I'm like, this man is incredible. What took you so freaking long to push him? And to give him this moment. And then he would take Seth Rollins, hits him with the Gotch neutralizer, and for the first time in 10 years, Cesaro wins his first ever singles match at WrestleMania. This was perfect. I wouldn't say it was a classic, but this was perfect. If I would do a top 10 hidden gems, definitely one of the most underrated matches of 2021. And definitely one of the more underrated WrestleMania matches of all time. This was awesome. This just felt so good for all of us fans who've been wanting to see Cesaro get a moment to shine, especially how he killed it. Those last few minutes, that was awesome. I loved it. And then Cesaro was emotional. He was thanking the crowd and everything. He's thankful on Twitter and everything. He's just being himself. When the man is just being himself, being awesome, take the cuffs off of him to do that crazy ass stuff, I can't complain. Definitely this summer, Cesaro should be either Mr. Money in the Bank, or at some point, he needs to be challenging Roman Reigns for that Universal Championship. You've already given him a singles match at WrestleMania. We never thought that would happen. Give him a Universal title shot, I'll shut up. Give him the Universal title, period, I'll definitely shut up. Because you're finally giving Cesaro that chance. Please, WWE, don't fuck this up. Do not screw this up. You have Cesaro now where he should have been a long time ago. 2014 should have been that year. Watch this match again and be reminded how freaking amazing this man is. And give hats off to Seth Rollins as well. Except for the fact that Seth Rollins said that stuff about the Thunderdome and live fans. And this man wonders why the crowd turned on him. But this match did exactly what it needed to be. Had to make Cesaro look awesome. And it did. I just still will not forget how much I marked out when he did those airplane spins. That was just incredible. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yes. It was awesome. Okay. Let's move on now to the next match. Match number 4. The New Days, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, taking on the team of AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Titles. This was fine. A little bit of weird booking, though, because the story of the match mostly was the New Day preventing AJ Styles from tagging in Omos. Because the moment Omos came in, it was over. It was going to be doomed, basically, they're trying to say. It was weird, though, because it looked like they were booking the New Day more like heels. And then AJ and Omos were kind of like the faces. And to my surprise, even though it may have been piped in, who knows, the crowd popped for Omos. I'm still not the biggest fan of Omos. I'll give him credit, he was decent. Better than I thought he'd be. He still has ways to go to impress me, though, I'll be honest. As I expected, AJ and Omos win the tag titles, and AJ Styles is now a Grand Slam champion. How long does title reign last? I don't know. But, again, Omos still needs some work. But I'll give him credit, say he did decent here with this match. So that was that match. The next match. Okay, let's talk about this one. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon inside of a steel cage. One of the absolute worst builds in WrestleMania history. And I was saying for weeks that the build sucks. It's an awful storyline. Definitely a good candidate for my worst storyline of the year. But the match will deliver. As soon as this was announced as a steel cage, I'm like, screw it. What the heck could possibly happen to make this match cool with these two now? Well, credit where credit is due, because these guys proved me wrong. This is a good steel cage match. I actually really like this match. Especially that ending. Especially that ending got me fired up. The match starts with Shane McMahon coming out first inside the cage. Braun Strowman would come out next, but then he get attacked by Elias and Jackson Riker, and they put a beating on him before Shane McMahon, for the most part, used a steel chair. He used a weapon or two he got from the outside of the ring to utilize Braun Strowman. And he tried to escape a few times, didn't work. Elias and Jackson Riker tried to climb up the cage to get in to help out, but Braun just smacked them off of the cage like they were nothing. There's nobodies. So the match is going on. I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is whatever as I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be just a whatever match. Nothing that crazy, just whatever. But then we got to the end. Shane McMahon goes to climb out of the cage. He is up, he is around, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way Braun is going to come back and win this. Shane was, down and about, crawling out down the cage. I'm like, there's no way Shane's going to be that stupid, like he thinks Braun is, and crawl back into the cage if Braun starts attacking from the other side. Well, what Shane did, first, Shane stuck his hand through the cage and went, bye, and mocked him. Braun Strowman came charging over and thinking, okay, once again, what's he going to do? Pull Shane back over top like an idiot? It was going to look, I thought it was going to look dumb. No. Braun Strowman, this SOB, ripped the cage off of the nails and everything. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And Shane McMahon, credit where credit is due, sold it like a pro. He had the exact reaction. He's like, oh my gosh. Like, if Shane McMahon had any reason to be scared of Braun Strowman, it was right there. Braun yanked that cage. He just started beating the holy hell out of Shane McMahon. And Shane would try to escape again. Braun would climb to the top of the cage. I'm like, okay, before I thought Shane jumping off the top of the cage was going to be dumb. What the heck is this going to be? I thought Braun Strowman was going to do some type of a dive or like a freaking Spanish fly. Like, I thought he was going to do something. Braun was going to jump off the top of the cell or something. No. This man grabs Shane, throws him up in the air. Shane does like a shooting star in the air and falls and lands on the mat. Like Braun just threw him up in the air. And I'm thinking, that's the Braun Strowman I love. That's the Braun Strowman from 2017. The one I became a fan with. Like, where in the world has that Braun Strowman been? He should have been beating the shit out of Shane like this so much sooner than just the last few minutes of this match. Those last few minutes were awesome. He just wrecked havoc. Ripping the steel off the cage, beating the shit out of Shane in the corner like he did, and then just throwing him off the top of the cage. Like, he did just push him, just let him gradually fall like he did with Kevin Owens at Extreme Rules 2018. He just chucked him up in the air, and Shane did a freaking shooting star and fell and landed flat on his back on the mat. It was awesome. Again, hats off to both these men. Again, the story they had was complete crap. The match, though, really capitalized. Again, I give them credit. And hey, if they want to give Braun a shot for the WWE title against Lashley, which they've had a history of some good matches. Extreme Rules 2019, they had a great last man standing match. Or if they want to have him face the new United States champion for something fresh, cool. Book Braun Strowman like this. That's how you book this son of a gun. Ripping that cage off, I was just like, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Good match. It wasn't the best match of the show, but it was good and much better than I anticipated. Speaking of much better than I anticipated, let's talk about this next match. We have this tag team match. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny versus Miz and John Morrison. First off, I was already cringing because Miz and Morrison came out to Hey Hey Hop Hop. They had the ring completely full of guys in bunny costumes. And the bunnies costumes were just falling apart. There were some that had like ears falling off. I saw one guy whose like head started coming off. A couple guys, their back of their straps started opening up in the back. I'm like, oh god, this is already looking very bad as I expected. Damien Priest's entrance is badass. Bad Bunnies on a semi was awesome. Then the match began. Again, as I said earlier, I give a lot of celebrity stars crap because I am tired of WWE relying on them to draw viewers. Hats off, though, to Bad Bunny. Again, I was not looking forward to this match at all whatsoever. I thought it was dumb. I'm like, why in the world is Bad Bunny playing second fiddle? I mean, why is Damien Priest playing second fiddle to Bad Bunny? I got no more complaints. Bad Bunny worked his ass off in this match. This man was doing hurricanranas. He was doing drop kicks like he'd been doing this his whole life. Including one of my favorite spots, not just of this match, of the show, of the weekend, of the past week in general. He hit a freaking Canadian destroyer on the outside, on the floor on the outside. I think it was on Miz, I think he hit it on. And he just was so smooth with it. It was awesome. It was fun. It was fast paced. He was wrestling like a freaking high flyer. I don't know how long he was training, but hats off. This man made it work. Damien Priest also had a great performance in there as well. This worked out great. I thought this was going to be garbage. I was not looking forward to it whatsoever. So I was going to just do a little bit of a flop. No. When you're doing hurricanranas, sucker punches, Canadian destroyers, like a pro, like as smooth as Adam Cole's Panama Sunrise, you got me. Bad Bunny, you got me. You proved me wrong. You shut me up. You got me fired up. I give you all the credit, brother. This was excellent as well. I thought this was an excellent match. And then we get to the main event of night one. Sasha Banks and the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble match winner, Bianca Belair, SmackDown Women's Championship. Fans spoke out. This was the main event of night one, as it should have been. I am glad these two women had the chance. And they told a beautiful story. Starting off, of course, with both women getting emotional with this opportunity they're getting to main event, well, night one. But to close out one of the nights of WrestleMania was just incredible. Then the match they had was awesome. Excellent chemistry. Excellent spots. Just told this very great story, again, of Sasha Banks claiming that she's the boss, and then Bianca Belair proving that she is the best. Just that simple story that, even though it was a dud build to this one as well, the money match capitalized. This was history. This was a moment. The crowd was into it. It was very back and forth, very close near falls as well. And then, of course, my favorite spot of the match, what led to the falling action and to the finish of this match, Bianca Belair, for the first time on the main roster, did a freaking hair whip. Sasha was using the hair to her advantage. Bianca just like, you ain't doing that, girl. Yanked the hair back. Sasha went in. BAM! Freaking hair whip smacked Sasha right in the stomach. You could even see the mark it left on Sasha. And then Bianca goes for the KOD. Bianca also had a moment where she did like a 450 or something like that, and Sasha kicked out. And you can tell, Bianca playing the story, just being herself, the emotion just there, thinking she had it but she didn't. Breaking free, of course, of a bank statement, and then again after that hair whip, finishing up with the KOD, Kiss of Death, 1, 2, 3, match over. Bianca Belair is your SmackDown Women's Champion. No Reginald, no BS, and I thought that they would have Sasha win this. No. The fact this was the main event, when this was the main event, and when Drew McIntyre did not win the WWE Championship off of Bobby Lashley, I'm like, okay, now this is meant for Bianca. This is Bianca's moment. And it was an incredible moment. One of the best women's matches I've definitely seen in wrestling history, in my opinion. This, I don't think it was quite as good as Sasha and Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, but this was definitely up there. This was an incredible match. Incredible moment. The fans are awesome. If this ended, I'll be honest, this could have main evented like a one-night pay-per-view. If WrestleMania was one night, this could have been, with the ending we got to it, this could have been the perfect ending. This was awesome. Excellent match. Definitely my women's match of the weekend for sure. And just hats off to both these women. The money match, capitalized. Worth the wait. It was awesome. Will we get a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash? Possibly. I hope we do. Because again, this is awesome. I don't think they'll be able to top off what they did here, but I'm hoping for it. We'll have to wait and see. And that, my friends, was night 1 of my WrestleMania review. Let's check the live chat and see what we got here. Mark says he hopes we'll get some returns tonight. Elite Squad says this was the best WrestleMania since 31, he thought. It was pretty good. I still really enjoyed 35, though. When I went for WrestleMania 35 2 years ago, I still enjoyed that show. So, 31 was good. 32, meh. 33, meh. 34, good except for the last hour. 35, awesome. Loved it. 36 was good, but would have been better if it had a crowd. This, though, I think it definitely been one of the better WrestleManias we've had. He's actually shocked that Lashley defeated McIntyre. Me too. But like I said, I think this was the right call. All champions in WWE are heels except MSK and Bianca Belair. Rhea Ripley, though, I'm still not sure about. Is Rhea Ripley a heel or is she not a heel? I'm not too sure yet about that one. What's up, Tyler? Tyler didn't like WrestleMania. He gave night 1 a C- and night 2 an F. 5.2 out of 10 he gave it. Interesting. But if you didn't like it, that's fine. Mark said one of his favorite parts is when she caught Sasha in midair, did a gorilla press, walked up the stairs. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. There was a spot in the match again when I think Sasha went for like a suicide dive or something, and Bianca caught her and literally just gorilla pressed her, carried her up the stairs, and just threw her over the top of the post and the ropes to the ring. I forgot about that. Thank you for mentioning that. That was also another big moment. But okay, let's move on now to the not as good night. Night 2 I thought was solid. Like, if I would give these shows each night a grade, night 1 for me would get an A-. Night 2 would get a B-. Let's talk about, though. So I know I said the women's tag title stuff was garbage. But what was really garbage and a letdown, and this was not, it was what it was. This was stupid. Flat out stupid what they did with the opening match of night 2. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, versus Randy Orton. 1-on-1. No stipulation. This match needed a stipulation. There had to be a stipulation. You went from an Inferno match to a 1-on-1 match. How? I don't know why. The thing is, though, is this match actually was not that bad at all. It started off awesome with this awesome entrance. Well, first off, Randy Orton came out in like tighty whities. And then he was teasing, making sure the ramp was not slippery, which is being just a tease about all of that, which was, funny. But they had this awesome entrance with Alexa Bliss playing a big ass Jack in the Box, and the Fiend came out through the Jack in the Box. And not just that, he got a pop. He got a big ass massive pop. And he was even reborn too. He didn't come out as the burned up Fiend. He came back out as the rebirth, cleaned up Fiend. And the match started, he does like a freaking cross body, jumping from the Jack in the Box across, doing a cross body on Randy Orton. Randy Orton hit a couple of the DDTs onto the Fiend. He shrugged off like it was nothing. I think Orton even slammed the Fiend into the announce table, shrugged off like it was nothing. I'm like, okay, here we go. We got this. We got this right. The Fiend's going to get another win at WrestleMania for the second year in a row, as he should be. There's no reason why that Randy Orton should get the win. Then the finish came. So the Fiend had fought off Randy Orton, put him in the mandible claw a few times. There was also a moment in this match where he did kind of do a Brody Lee pose and paid tribute to Brody Lee. Respect to Bray Wyatt, though, for doing that. But we got this finish. Bray Wyatt had Randy Orton in position for his sister Abigail. And he's about to hit the sister Abigail on Randy Orton. But then the corners of the ring flare up in flames. And I'm like, what the? Kane coming out? Because Kane was just inducted to the Hall of Fame. Instead, we see Alexa Bliss coming out of the Jack in the Box herself, with this crown of thorns on her head and all this black ink coming down her face. And off that distraction, Randy Orton, Randall freaking Keith Orton, hits one RKO on the Fiend, one RKO that plenty of people have kicked out of. If anyone can kick out of the RKO, the Fiend can kick out of one stinking RKO. He said the RKO. 1, 2, 3. The match is over, and Randy Orton pins the Fiend. Randy Orton pinned the Fiend with one stinking RKO. Why? You had us sit through how many months of just the same repetition with this feud? You know, if the story they were trying to tell here was that Randy Orton, based off history, knows the weaknesses of Bray Wyatt, I get that. But you had that happen back at TLC. Why do it again and screw over the Fiend at WrestleMania again? There's no need to continue this feud with how long you've dragged it on for and just made it just like the point where you just want it to be over and just move on to something new. But not just that, you made the Fiend look like an idiot! How on earth can the Fiend kick out of 12 curb stomps, yet he can't kick out of one stinking RKO? Seriously? I was mad. I was furious. Like this was, again, you could complain about, the women's tag titles. That just was what it was. I knew that was not going to be good. This, even though they've had a history, I gave this a chance. And the fact you had the Fiend lose at WrestleMania to one stinking RKO? What's wrong with you, Vince? How do you not see the star power, the greatness of this? You screwed him at Hell in a Cell 2019. You screwed him to Goldberg. And now you screwed him to Randy Orton. Again, the whole idea of Randy Orton knowing the weaknesses of the Fiend, that was established at TLC. You got now. The Fiend comes back, gets reborn, just for nothing. Just to lose. Like, if they do a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, who's going to care? Who is going to care? Because the Fiend's a loser. He's weak now. Who wants to see this feud continue? Not me. This was definitely the biggest letdown of the show. And I'm just going to take a deep breath and just move on to some bigger and better things. Right? Oh no, that's not it. Then we had that crummy women's tag title match I didn't care about. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. Too long of a match. I was sitting there already going, when is this over? When is this over? When is this over? Because it went on for God knows how long, forever. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retain. Although I will give credit, they at least let Shayna Baszler be the one to pick up the victory by getting Natalya to tap out. I'll give them credit for that, but I still did not give a single shit about this match. But that was that match. But then finally, the show came alive. Next match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You know, it wasn't their best match, but I thought it was still good. Of course, Logan Paul was at ringside, and I'm like, don't even think about it. Again, I was worried they'd have Logan Paul get involved with this. I still also think this match should have had the I Quit stipulation. Again, the simple story. Kevin Owens wants to beat some sense into Sami Zayn, saying, if you want to beat me, cool. If not, but if that's the case, you're going to beat me by making me say I quit. And you're going to lose with no excuses with saying I quit. That didn't happen, but these guys, again, still put on a pretty darn good match. Kevin Owens also, a couple times, teased that package pile driver. I am waiting for him to hit that package pile driver. Please, please just do it. And then Sami Zayn had a couple nice counters into Blue Thunder bombs, which were good. I thought though Zayn may have gotten the upset. He hits a haluva kick on Kevin Owens out of nowhere. And we basically have that same moment we got from these two back at their match at Battleground 2016. Where Zayn haluva kicked Owens, and then Zayn kind of like got emotional, just like watched Owens, goes for a second haluva kick. Instead, Owens hits a super kick on Sami Zayn, and then into a stunner, and Kevin Owens wins the match. Afterwards, Logan Paul comes in, Sami Zayn gets mad at him and punches him in the face, and then Paul's endorsing Owens, and Owens stuns him. We can move on from that. But, good match. I'm glad Logan Paul did not get that involved in it. I was worried that was going to happen. But that was good. Speaking of actually being good, how about this U.S. title match? Matt Riddle and Sheamus actually ended up being pretty good. Matt Riddle before the match had a backstage segment with the Great Khali and RVD having some stupid promo and whatnot that he's had. But he takes on Sheamus, and, you know, for a match I was not that excited for, again, this actually was pretty good. It was physical, had good chemistry, and it's a couple good spots. Especially that ending. Sick ending there with Matt Riddle going for like a shooting star or like a floating bro. Sheamus does a bro kick on Matt Riddle into his jaw as Riddle was hanging on upside down in the air. Sick ass spot for sure. And Sheamus, to my surprise, wins the U.S. title. I'm not sure where they're going with this. I mean, you know, I've already kind of given up on Matt Riddle anyway. He was very bland as U.S. champion. I mean, they tried, but like I said, he did nothing but lose and then wins the title. But again, he did nothing but lose after that. So like I said, maybe we get like a Braun Strowman and Sheamus feud for the U.S. title or something like that. I don't know. But credit is due again. This was a good match. I'm not going to complain about it. I thought it was good. That ending spot was awesome. Probably broke open the jaw of Matt Riddle, but that sucks. This was good too. The Intercontinental Championship Nigerian drum fight. Big E, Tampa Bay's own, versus the Nigerian Prince, Apollo Crews. This match could have been a little bit longer, I'll be honest. Could have given it a little bit more time. Still did what it needed to do. We had some use of the weapons, the drums, the steel steps. There was that spot where Big E was laid out on the bottom portion of the steel steps. Apollo Crews had like the top portion in his hands up. He was about to come down and slam it down on top of Big E, and I'm like, oh no, and Big E just got out of the way. I'm like, oh boy, he came this close. But we had some use of the weapons. There was, the cymbals that was used, the drums. It was good. Again, it could have been, given it a little more time. I still feel these guys could put on like a good, 15, 20-minute match if you gave them the time. The match ends, though, with Apollo Crews trying to do like a frog splash on the Big E through the table. Big E gets out of the way, and Apollo goes to the table. And Apollo goes for the big ending. Big E goes to the big ending. I'm like, oh, well, I guess they're going to keep it on Big E and send Apollo back to catering. But nope, didn't happen that way. Here came Dabba-Kato. Dabba-Kato came out. He took out Big E and dragged over Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews wins the Intercontinental Championship. I'm fine with that. I would have liked this match been a little bit better, but I'm fine with that. And, he has like a little bit of like a muscle here, build up a little bit of a thing, and like, okay, we're taking Apollo Crews seriously now. He gets a WrestleMania moment with the Intercontinental Championship. That's what he needed. Because I still feel like if Apollo would have lost this match, he would have been just another, I feel like what would have happened to what happened to Dolph Ziggler in 2017 when he turned heel. Same thing probably would have happened to Apollo Crews here. Gone back to catering, done really nothing, and his whole heel turn was just a flop. But no, he wins the IC title, and we're cooking. Big E, of course, he'll be okay. Let's start getting Big E into the upper mid card or even the main event scene. Because maybe by SummerSlam again, I will still say I think Big E is one of my 3 candidates I have right now to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Oh, oops, I spoiled it right there. Either him, Keith Lee, or Cesaro are my top 3 candidates I feel should be the ones to dethrone Roman Reigns. But we'll start getting Big E in that hunt. I think also not long after this, we had that segment where Bayley came out as Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan were dressed as pirates. Came out, and we all thought it was going to be set up for Becky Lynch to return. No, it was just for the Bellas to come out and take out Bayley and throw her down the ramp like an idiot. The crowd booed that segment, which I'm like, good. Because who the heck wants to see the Bellas? And of course she says, John Cena's not here, and then Nikki slaps Bayley, but, just all that stupid drama. Speaking of women, the second to last match we had was this Raw Women's Championship match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. Rhea had a guest singer sing her entrance, by the way. I'll be real, this match disappointed me a little bit. Didn't hate it. Wasn't awful. Just wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. It was kind of slow. It kind of dragged, the first good portion, but then it really picked up at the end. My favorite spot in the match was definitely when Asuka did that DDT while jumping off the apron and face planting Rhea into the mat. That was awesome. But then, just a little bit of fight back later, and Rhea Ripley hits the Riptide on Asuka, and Raw is Rhea Ripley, as I predicted, Rhea Ripley's new Raw Women's Champion. Excellent! Wish the match is a little bit better, but Raw is Rhea. Raw is Rhea's show, SmackDown is Bianca's show. We have new faces of the women's division. They have arrived on the main roster. And then finally the main event, this awesome triple threat match. And if you guys didn't see my live reactions, we all know we all enjoyed this. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. Outstanding match. Definitely, in my opinion, one of the best triple threat matches in WrestleMania history. You have this one, you got Daniel Bryan, Batista, and Orton at WrestleMania 30, And you also got Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 20. This was awesome. From, the fast-paced beginnings to, just the grudges to, just the use of the weapons. Powerbomb by Reigns to the table. Reigns getting the Roman sucks chance. Literally having legitimate, heel heat from a legitimate crowd was awesome. Because Roman Reigns has played that heel role excellent. I will say, though, out of all three of these guys, though, Edge got the biggest pop. Edge got the bigger pop over Daniel Bryan and Roman in this match. He was probably, was the fan favorite to win this. They used chairs. They used a couple kendo sticks. I know there was a spot. One of my favorite spots of the match, actually, was where Roman powerbombed Bryan through a table. Edge jumped out of the blue, just got so much height, speared Roman Reigns off the announce table, and went flying across. Jey Uso also got involved. Edge took him out by suplexing him through his steel steps, but he came back later in the match. But again, just some great, back and forth action. The spot where Edge had Roman in the crossface, he takes the part of the table that, the part of the chair that broke off, like a little bit of like a pipe or something, put it around Roman's face in the front. It was badass. Bryan got back in. Him and Edge put their double submission on Roman. And there was a time I swore you could see. I don't know if they'll show it, in the storyline leading up. But there was a spot where it looked like Roman had tapped out. He started tapping on Edge's leg. Even though it wouldn't have mattered because both men, would have tapped him out and the match probably would have restarted. But Bryan and Edge went at it. And then Edge, the closest near fall was definitely Edge. Edge had speared Roman, and it looked like it was it. It looked like it was done. But then Daniel Bryan yanked the referee out of the ring. If they are setting up for a Daniel Bryan and Edge match, oh boy, have they done it well. And if that's the reason why they're calling Backlash WrestleMania Backlash, that has to be the main event. Edge and Daniel Bryan. But then Edge grabs more chairs. He goes for multiple concertos. He hits the one on Daniel Bryan. Bryan's out. He goes for the one on Roman Reigns. But then Jey Uso returns and attacks Edge. And then Roman gets up and he takes out Edge. He hits a concerto of his own on Edge. And then Roman piles both Bryan and Edge on top of each other. Pins both of them. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship, as I predicted. I would have been fine with any of these guys winning, but if you're going to set the bar very high, if you're going to give Roman Reigns, make that one person, that fresh face, as I said, Big E, Cesaro, and Keith Lee are my 3 picks to dethrone Roman Reigns. If you are going to make the winner that special, you got to give him the win right here on one of the biggest stage. When he said he can get to the highest point where you can't acknowledge him any more powerful, that's just awesome. Again, Roman's 5th main event match at WrestleMania, and by far his best one. This is a classic. This is one of my matches of the year, and one of my 3 favorite matches, I'd say, one of my favorite matches from this entire week since TakeOver. That, my friends, that is my WrestleMania 37 review. Night 1, I'll give an A-. Night 2, B-. And my overall grade is a B+. Again, the only things I did not like on this show, definitely the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, the Fiend and Randy Orton, and the stuff with the women's tag team division. I also, again, was not a fan of that segment with Nikki Bella and Bayley. But the rest of the show, awesome. Bad Bunny killed it. Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley killed it. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, history. Roman Reigns, Edge, and Bryan at Triple Threat, awesome. B+, awesome WrestleMania. Check the live chat, then I'm going to go downstairs and watch Raw. Mark gave Night 1 a B and Night 2 a D. The Fiend is dead, never going to come back from that. Lost worse than he lost to Goldberg at Super Showdown. It was worse than Shinsuke's loss to Jinder at SummerSlam 4 years ago, or Brock winning Money in the Bank and winning the belt. JBL mentioned Battleground with Sami and Kevin. That's true, he did. It should have been Edge and Roman, not a triple threat as he thought. And then Rhea is going to hold that belt just to drop it to Charlotte when she comes back. I hope to God not. Better not be the case. Give Rhea a reign. Give Rhea a reign with that championship. And that's going to do it, guys. Again, we're downstairs. Watch the Raw after Mania. We'll see what we got, guys. What are your thoughts on WrestleMania 37? Again, gave the B+, A- for Night 1, B- for Night 2. My matches of the show was definitely, my top 3 matches was definitely the triple threat match for the Universal title, Sasha and Bianca, and Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Awesome stuff, guys. Leave us out in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBody3. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. Have a great night. I'll see you guys all later. Peace out, everybody.